on our webinar today, Customer Best Practices Using Automation. It's no secret that we are going through one of the most unique eras in the recruiting and staffing industry these days. And I'm incredibly excited to have ABD and Sense customer Icon Medical Network on the webinar with us to share some of the ways they're leveraging automation in their recruiting practices. So we'll give everybody another few seconds to filter in, and then I will get started with some housekeeping items. Before we get started, I want to thank everybody for taking the time out of your busy days to join us. We're so excited that you're here, and this is going to be very, very interactive. So we love questions. Feel free to reach out in the Q&A at any time, and we'll get to them at the end of this. If we don't get to your question, I'll absolutely make sure that we get to you afterwards and answer it. And third, this recording will be distributed afterwards, so don't worry if you miss anything, you have to hop to a meeting. We will certainly make sure that you get to see everything that we're going to be presenting today. For our agenda, we're going to take you through some speaker introductions, look over the ABD and Sense partnership, and talk a little bit about the state of recruiting. But the real heart of this webinar is going to be Icon Medical Network's customer story and their use cases. And then at the end, we'll have time for some Q&A. So with all that being said, my name is Christina Krenner, and I handle partner marketing here at Sense, based out of beautiful Long Island, New York. And I am really, really happy to be speaking to you folks. And with that, I will pass it over to Jonathan.
Yes, thank you so much, Christina. Yes, my name is Jonathan. I work over here at Automated Business Designs, and I'm a data visualization specialist. I do a number of things with Sense and Christina. We work together on numerous projects, and I'm happy to share Sense with you. And I'll actually allow Steve now to introduce himself. So Steve, take it away.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thanks for having me, everyone. My name is Steve Martin. I'm the Director of Learning and Development at Icon Medical Network, and been a partner of Sense and ABD Ultrastaff for a couple of years now. So I'm really excited to share our story.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Jez. So just a little bit about Sense. We were founded a little over 7 years ago, and our mission was to build the first end-to-end talent engagement platform. Since then, we've grown to see more than 900 customers across all industries, and more than our own results, we've seen our customers hit amazing milestones, and that's of the utmost importance to us. So whether it's hiring great talent in minutes by creating memorable and personalized experiences, to reactivating their database, or anything and everything soup to nuts, end-to-end talent engagement, we are really, really excited to help our customers see everything through. And with that, Jonathan can discuss a little bit about automated business designs.
Yeah, thank you again, Christina. So Automated Business Designs actually just celebrated its 40th anniversary this year. We are a woman-owned business based out of Chicago, Illinois. We are a full CRM ATS platform with general ledger, back office, accounts payable. As I said, we have a full service CRM. We even include a Stevie Award-winning scheduling module, which is great for our medical clients that want to handle traveling nurses or per diem. Very seamless product, all inclusive, full enterprise, and with some wonderful analytics thrown in.
Fantastic. So, I'm sorry, Jonathan, do you want to take it away? Highlighting our fantastic integration.
Yeah, exactly. Well, one thing I'll tell is that we do integrate with Sense. We have 40 plus clients that are currently integrated with Sense. It's been nothing but a phenomenal experience with Sense. One thing that's been just fantastic about it so far is that Sense is a very versatile platform. There are a number of ways that you can incorporate it in your daily business process. From the Chrome extension that you see here, it's as simple as logging into your Chrome store, clicking a few buttons, and all of a sudden you can engage via text with all the clients in your database. It's really nothing short of user-friendly. And as I said, working with Sense has been a real pleasure, and they can definitely assist you in finding a solution that's best for you.
Awesome. So we want to talk a little bit about how automation is a solution for a lot of pains that we're seeing in the industry today. So you can capture more top of funnel clients, capture top of funnel candidates, engage throughout the talent lifecycle. It's real-time communication, which is so important. It increases recruiter efficiency, and you can re-engage with candidates at scale. And I believe we have a poll question for you folks, so I will give everybody a moment. So what is top of mind for you in 2023? Expansion into additional markets, driving efficiency in your current day-to-day operations, or optimizing tech stack? Okay, I think we can see the results now and see how everyone voted. Oh, wow. Overarching, driving efficiency in your current day-to-day operations. You came to the right place with this webinar. And I see expansion into additional markets and optimizing tech stack ROI did get some love. So, okay, fantastic. I would like to now speak more in depth, introduce Steve to tell us a little bit about Icon Medical Network and himself. So, Steve.
Awesome. Thanks, Christina. Yeah, and again, thanks for having me. As I mentioned at the top of the session, again, my name is Steve Martin, Director of Learning and Development at Icon Medical Network. And we've experienced considerable amount of growth over the course of the last couple of years, largely in part due to partnerships such as now, Icon Medical Network is a part of a larger organization known as IMN Enterprises, which, just like ABD, is also woman-owned. Janet Elkin, our president and CEO, acquired Icon Medical Network and Independence Anesthesia back in January of 2021. And over the course of the last 2.5 years has really built a dream team of person in the staffing and recruiting world to kind of really tackle many aspects of the staffing industry, specifically within the medical realm. Over the course of the last couple of weeks, we opened up our newest adventure, Med Adventures, which is an allied health staffing company, which is going to be experiencing a lot of growth over the course of the next couple of years, largely due to in part by the assistance and the partnership between Sense, ABD, and ourselves.
So we are thinking of discussing some key business challenges. So to provide some context for our audience today, could you provide us with some history and background of some of the challenges your company or IMN as a whole saw prior to using Sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the 4 pillars that you're seeing on the screen really were the key drivers behind our decision to start the process to start looking for a partner for AI and automation. And we find ourselves utilizing many different tools to communicate to candidates. We're looking for a streamlined option. That poll question was really perfect. It really teed me up perfectly. 90% of you are looking for ways to increase efficiency for your recruiters. And that was one of our ultimate goals as well. And really identifying ways to consistently stay in touch with our database, which I'm really excited to could dive in depth on over the course of the next couple of minutes here.
So why is automation important to Icon?
As you can imagine, over the course of the last couple of years, we really wanted to identify a way to have an automation work with our workflow as opposed to having us work around it. Now, as you can see on the screen here, we have around 755,000 candidates in our database, and we really wanted a way to automate contact with these candidates. Our recruiters are great, but there's only so much they can do with the tools that are provided to them. So we really wanted another tool that would allow them to proactively reach out to their database. And that's something that the Sense messaging tool was able to provide for us. Now, in addition to that, It allows our recruiters to stay in contact and build and cultivate these relationships, because at its core, that's really what staffing and recruiting is about, is the relationship or rapport building aspect. And that's something that the Sense partnership has allowed us to cultivate in spades. And it really allows us to focus on the patient. One of our key initiative at IMN Enterprises is putting the patient needs first. And we can't stress that enough. And it's something that we've seen with our partners, ABD and Sense, to allow our recruiters to have time back into their days to ensure that we're placing the right candidates at the right clients.
Oh, awesome. So what kinds of use cases, or rather, I know that Icon Medical is still getting ramped up on Sense, but thus far, what kinds of use cases do you have implemented right now?
Yeah, so we started off, we really wanted our recruiting team to hit the ground running, right? So the first thing we deployed was the Sense messaging tool. We had a previous partner, we've moved over to Sense, and that was something that was really quick and easy to deploy to our team to get it right out to them. It allowed them to, as I mentioned earlier, reactivate or reach out to a considerable amount of candidates in our database who hadn't been touched. And at the same time, allow us to ramp up and improve our chatbot that was on our websites as well. It was something that was operated in a different silo, going into the integration aspect that you're going to hear me talk a lot about over the course of the next several minutes. Keep going back to that, because integration in any tech platform is of the utmost importance. And we were operating in singular silos. Being able to remove those silos were a huge help for us. Another thing that we were able to quickly adapt or adopt were the Sense meeting capabilities, allowing candidates to schedule time that our recruiters have available in real time through an Outlook calendar integration. Really allowed our recruiters to share their availability and get in front of the candidates as fast and efficiently as possible. Now, along the way, mobile application is the wave of the future. I know ABD is in the process of rolling out a mobile application. Sense offers the same for our internal employees. So recruiting is a 24/7 game, and allowing our candidates to be in touch with their recruiters at all times through the use of the mobile application has really saved their lives. And at the same time, having that singular phone number, right? We utilize a phone vendor, but we're able to use that same phone number to utilize texting capabilities as well. So it's all coming from the same place, reducing any confusion. So all of that was a big driver for us.
That's great. So as I mentioned previously, you are still getting ramped up, but what kinds of outcomes have you been able to see, or what kind of ROI have you experienced, in the short amount of time that you've implemented this?
The big thing what we were able to notice right off the bat was allow our recruiters to have an additional tool in their tool set to fill jobs faster. That's really the name of the game. We're small but mighty, but we're identifying ways that we can get to the punch as fast as possible. And that's something that through the partnership between ABD and Sense, we're able to do. So as soon as we see a job come out through ABD, our recruiters can attack it and reach out to these candidates as fast as possible. So it really allows us to get these jobs filled in quicker. It really does allow us to streamline processes. And that was something that we really wanted to make sure that we were able to achieve through the implementation and the partnership with Sense, is to identify any ways that we can improve our internal processes. And reaching out to candidates through the creation of journeys is going to be a way that we're going to be able to do that in the very near future. We've deployed several journeys already, reactivating candidates in our database that we've seen positive results on, and allowing many different types of journeys to capture different ways for us to engage our database as well.
All right, so we have another poll question for everyone. What metric do you prioritize the most? Time to hire, cost per hire, or drop-off rate? Let's give everyone a moment. Okay, let's see what these results are. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so time to hire is number 1 at 57. Drop off rate is next at 30, and cost per hire is at their teams. So every category saw some votes. This is interesting. Thank you. So as far as investing in new technology, so in doing so and getting internal buy-in can be a challenge for any organization. Steve, could you walk us through the process that IMN took to evaluate new vendors and the internal discussions around these evaluations? You know, I can venture some of my guesses, but I would love to hear it from you. You know, the kind of the thought process behind, you know, choosing Sense with ABD.
I'll start by saying I'm really grateful to work with a leadership team that wants to provide tools to their recruiters to set them up for success. Through using ABD UltraStaff Edge, we had a partner at the time that did provide texting capability, but it was really missing that two-way link, that integration piece that I was talking about earlier. And right off the bat, it was something that Sense could do with ABD. The write back capability for any activity notes. So I know there are many shared partners on the call today. Integration, as I mentioned earlier, is of the utmost importance. Any text message that is sent or received through Sense from UltraStaff will automatically update the candidate note in nearly real time. It really is truly remarkable being able to see and update the last contact date of the candidate record just by sending out text messages. This is something our team was having to do manually, and it was a very cumbersome process going back to increasing the efficiency of our recruiting process. That was something that we were able to save an immense amount of time on right away, right from the top. So being able to see that integration and taking it the step further, being able to see the same list of candidates in our Sense platform database as UltraStaff in real time, honestly, it really is truly remarkable to be able to see how powerful this tool is. And being able to take that a step further is being able to identify ways to slice and dice your business, right? What branches or lines of businesses are you trying to reach out to? And personalize the journeys based off those audience types was something that, quite frankly, we didn't realize was possible. So being able to take those 755,000 candidates, which are a gold mine for us to have, and really leverage our strength and put this tool and our tool in the tool belt of our recruiters to really provide them with that tool. And again, really make a difference. So really exciting stuff for us. That integration piece of being of the utmost importance is, I can't stress that enough, really was that key driver for us.
That's awesome. So when it comes to getting started, change management with any new technology integration can be tricky, and our clients are always looking for ways to drive better usage and adoption across their teams. Obviously, it's so important when you're investing in something, you need it to get used, you need it to get used to its fullest, the product to be fully realized. So talk to us about how you helped ensure that your entire team was ramped up with Sense and ABD to fully realize the value.
It was a staggered approach, really. We knew we were going to move into the direction of partnering with Sense when we saw the capability. So we were all jazzed up. So we were excited. And myself, including the leadership team, we preemptively started to give the team a heads up of what was coming and really talk about the exciting pieces of functionality that they would have at their disposal. The automated journeys, right? The calendar link, the text messaging capability that updates notes in real time. I didn't have to do any selling on my part. As I mentioned earlier, we rolled out the Sense messaging piece first. It was a home run, honestly. It was a home run right from the get-go. Recruiters being able to see those notes go right into the candidate and client record. Again, it made them more efficient because they didn't have to go back and copy and paste entire text chains into the UltraStaff activity notes section. So that really allowed us to get the buy-in. And then once you have the team bought in, what's the support like, right? Now, the team already knew that the ABD support team always had their back. And if I can't answer a question, they're always quick to jump in and help wherever they could. Now we're bringing on another partner. So always, I mean, change is the only thing in life that is constant. Changing behaviors, changing or adding to vendors or partnerships to an organization can be daunting at times. But once they saw that integration, and once we learned that the Sense support team was on par with the ABD support team, we knew that we had another partner that we could trust that could help us out whenever we needed it. So between the integration, the increased efficiency from our recruiting perspective, and the incredible customer service team, it really was a no-brainer, and it made my life a lot easier getting the buy-in from our team.
Great, we love to hear it. So everyone on this webinar today they're either clients of Sense or ABD, and some are fully integrated, some may not yet be. So can you please speak to the value you've experienced once you integrated the two platforms and why you chose Sense? I know that we've touched upon it in some of these other subjects we're talking about, but the true value that spoke to you and what you noticed right away.
Yeah, the seamless integration. We're not stepping on toes anymore. We know who is reaching out to whom and when. And again, having that on the forefront, allowing us to be a well-oiled machine, it really what made all the difference in the world. It is a very user-friendly solution. It is easy to use. Training, I train new hires every week, and we have our new recruiters starting. They're like, oh, wow, this is a really, really cool tool. So we're getting them right off the jump, letting them know how easy it is to use. Even from a customization perspective, as an admin, I can help and provide support to our team of, hey, we want to change our parameters on the back end for my 30-minute schedule that I have embedded within my email signature. How do I do that? So for me personally, not having to always reach out to the Sense support team of being able to make changes, I'm not at the beck and call of anybody else. It's easy to use. I was able to train myself up with the help of our excellent customer success managers and implementation specialists. So by the time you're done with that implementation phase, you're ready to roll. My biggest piece of advice is be as present as possible during the implementation process and take the controls in the building of your environment. That goes being involved with the mapping process, the information that's coming from ABD into Sense and vice versa. The more involved you are in the implementation process, the easier it's going to be to start deploying journeys rapidly. And that's something that we were able to do right from the jump and has made our lives significantly easier.
Great. So for those who are just at the beginning of this journey, automation can seem overwhelming. There's so much you want to get, you want it all and you want it now, but it also can seem pretty daunting. So what's your advice on how to get started? And again, I know we touched upon some of this, but particularly what's next for IMN's automation journey?
One of our biggest initiatives internally is identifying ways to cross-sell amongst different healthcare systems. As I mentioned at the top, IMN Enterprises is made up of Independence Anesthesia, CRNA, and anesthesiology staffing company, Icon Medical Network, which handles all medical specialties. We also just started up our Med Adventures, which is our allied health staffing division. So one of the things that we're really looking to do is identify opportunities to capture not just some of the business, but all the business. So we do have partners that staff all different areas. So we're going to be utilizing Sense as a way to introduce ourselves to other members of the organization who we may not be in contact with already. So that is a very, very exciting journey that we are in the process of planning right now to hopefully have rolled out in the very near future. Additionally, another journey that we're really excited about is our on-assignment journeys. Now, recruiting is as I mentioned earlier, it's not a 9-to-5 job. It's 24/7 in nature. Maintaining contact with your candidates throughout the length of an assignment is incredibly important to keep that rapport building going. So through the use of on-assignment journeys, it's going to allow us to automate the communication with our recruiting team and their candidates throughout the entire length of the assignment, allowing us to generate referrals from other candidates they may be working with, or hearing about other things that may be going on inside of the organization, identifying ways or surveys on how the assignment is going, so as to be more proactive rather than reactive to any issues that may be occurring on the assignment itself. And also, and more importantly, allow us to stay in front of our candidates' availabilities. We do a lot of per diem work. I know Jonathan had mentioned at the top the scheduling module, another great tool that ABD provides that we are using internally at IMN Enterprises. But again, having these tools at our disposal throughout the assignment process that can be anywhere from a couple of weeks to several months, making sure that we are front of mind throughout this entire assignment. And again, the recruiters, they're in the loop, but they're not the ones that are going to be making these manual check-ins. So again, it keeps them in the loop while saving them time and keeping that relationship going with their candidates, which is very important.
That's awesome. Thanks, Stephen. So I think that we have one more poll question. And what is the most common obstacle you face when evaluating a new solution? Is it cost, ease of implementation, or the adoption of the solution overall? Let's give it a second for everyone to answer. Okay, let's see what you folks put up. Oh, wow, this is really thirds. Okay, so the top answer is cost. Naturally, it's always a concern. And then we're tied with ease of implementation and the adoption of the solution. I'm really looking forward to the Q&A because I'm hoping that we can touch upon all these sorts of things. So again, Sense with ABD really does address everything throughout the candidate life cycle, from screening and scheduling, candidate engagement, the pre-hire and onboarding, on assignment, contractor care, redeployment and reactivation, and then right back to sourcing and attracting to start it all over again. We have you covered, and we're again really happy everybody joined today. So with that, if you have any questions, get me. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Jonathan or myself. And our contact info is at the bottom of the screen there. And I think we're going to launch into some questions. So Jonathan, do we have anything up?
I don't see anything at the moment, but actually I'll begin with a question for Steve, because I do think this is critical to the process, is about implementation that you referred to, being a part of that. So do you think it's useful to have multiple members as part of that process? One person, two people, various departments, how does that work? Because you are, as you mentioned, you're going across a number of different types of, medical fields, practices. How does that work? Was it just you involved in the meeting, or do you have other members of your staff?
Yeah, it wasn't just me. It takes a village. It takes an army. I'm not going to take any of the credit. Myself and both 3 or 4 other individuals within the organization, including our chief operating officer and our marketing department, they were vital to make sure that the goal was always in place, right? What is the goal of what we're looking to achieve here? And then making sure that we're marketing our organization in the best possible light. So setup wise, I can do all the nuts and the bolts. I can move things around. But there are many people within the organization that provide the support that made this possible.
Excellent. Yeah, and then I do have one other question that just came in. So what recruiting tactics are consistent across different verticals, and what variations are necessary from vertical to vertical? Or in other words, if you do have multiple businesses, I guess this is more of a question for Steve, is, if you do have multiple businesses, multiple types of medical practices, how does Sense help you with that?
Yeah, I feel like I mentioned it a couple of times throughout the presentation today. Is the recruiting, I don't have to tell you guys, everybody that's on the call, it's not a 9-to-5 job. And having the flexibility is of the utmost importance. So, I mean, whether it's the traditional, picking up the phone, placing a call, nothing's ever going to replace that. Is obviously important, but as well, email. We're working in a more mobile environment, so we're seeing more folks working off this as opposed to the desktop that's in front of them. So the mobile application is huge. Making sure that even after hours, late at night, on the weekends, if something's coming up as a part of an assignment, making sure that that mobile app kind of going right to the account managers and the recruiters is a godsend. It really is. The meeting scheduler, I'll talk about that again. Making sure having the calendar availability through the Outlook integration in real time. Like, hey, Steve's available anytime today. It is really cool. There are a lot of parameters that can be set up in the back end that can limit or can restrict it based on an individual user template. Easy to use, easy to pick up. The resources that are available make it a lot easier to implement. Now, Jonathan, that's strictly from a medical world. I mean, a lot of these physicians were trying to reach after hours, so having the flexibility is very important. I can't really speak about some of the other realms of staffing. I can imagine a lot of them are pretty similar. So it'd be interesting to hear a little bit about some of the other verticals and some of the communications tactics that would be available there as well.
Yes, absolutely, Steve. And I do feel the great thing about Sense that we've mentioned time and time again is just how flexible and versatile it really is. And ultimately, I feel across different verticals, communicating with the candidate is of the utmost importance, and equipping your recruiters with the tools they need at every step of that process. I don't think that changes across verticals. I do feel, obviously, you know, in the medical field with nurses, you know, communicating on a continuous basis is very important. At all hours, because obviously they're 24-hour nurses. For some industries, that might not be the case, but even having the ability to be able to reach out to someone at a moment's notice, perhaps about a job, perhaps they have a question, those check-ins at various points of their assignment is very important, and just the constant engagement. So I don't think it necessarily changes too much across verticals, but obviously each industry is different. But I think at the very core, communicating with candidates is of the utmost importance. And Steve, we actually did have a question, Christina as well, and it may be for me. How soon will ABD Ultra Badge be able to update information based on responses from candidates? I.e., a candidate could update their address if incorrect or update CTA. We can get a screening notification that a person doesn't qualify for the position, but it can't update the contract activity yet. So we are actually working at the moment on what are called field write-back updates. So I can say that what we're currently in the process of testing are going to be very basic write-back updates, such as, do you want to be texted? Are you okay for emails? Those types of things, very basically updating an address, phone number. Once I feel we get a foothold in those very basic updates to a candidate record, we can begin to approach updating contract activity statuses based on response to surveys and other types of communications that are utilized in Journey. So it is definitely on our roadmap. We obviously, once we are all set, Christina and Steve, ABD will let you know. There will definitely be an announcement regarding that. But for the moment, I feel that once we get our candidate record, those very basic fields sorted out, we can begin to progress into other records such as contract activities, job orders, et cetera.
Absolutely, yeah, and we want to keep everybody abreast of what's coming up, and we will make sure that once those features are available, that you will be the first to know. And again, you have our contact info, so please feel free to reach out with questions like that at any time.
That's it. If you wouldn't mind, I got something to add about that. Completely unrelated, but having been a customer and had a suggestion or a recommendation or a suggestion, or we need something. I can tell you, everybody, that the ABD and Sense team, they work incredible together to kind of push through updates based off of what you're looking for. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that update, Jonathan. Thank you for the heads up on that.
Yeah, and we actually just got another question in, and I think this probably grew out to Steve, because he works with recruiters on a daily basis. But Steve, are you noticing any trends with your recruiters and their adoption of technology? You do, as part of being the director of learning at ICON, you actually have a very intimate understanding of the process because you're involved with it. Are you seeing any trends with the recruiters and their adoption of technology?
It can be difficult. I'm going to be honest. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, change is the only thing in life that is constant. So change adoption can be tough, but we're living in a mobile world. If you can equate a new process or a new platform that you are rolling out to something that they are familiar with already, it makes it a lot easier to get that buy-in and that adoption. So again, as I mentioned earlier, that's that staggered approach. We see everything trending into a more mobile environment, and the method of communication is trending towards mobile as well. Everybody's on their phones, for better or for worse. We're attached to the hip with it. So again, it's the flexibility aspect, is having that mobile application, and they have that constant communication with anybody in the database that you need. So that really is probably the biggest trend that we're seeing, and how it's moving in that direction itself. But again, it is an easy solution to utilize. So it really did make it a lot easier to get that new technology into practice.
Great, great. Thanks, Steve. We just had one other question that came in, and it's about technology. So obviously, Sense offers a range of different communications. You can use emails, phones, texting. Do you think that there's any one technology that can really enhance that relationship with recruiter? Is there one that works better than the other, in your opinion?
Nothing will ever beat picking up the phone. However, there is a personalization to a text message. And the response time, I feel, is the easiest through text messaging. So I find I'm a texting person. It's always easier. I get a couple coming through. It's always easier to pick that up. That's my personal preference. Something that I'm seeing quite a bit of. Jonathan, on your end, what are you seeing in your experiences? What do you think?
Well, Steve, I do agree with you that I do the phone calling individual, that personalization, that actual communication is never going to change. That will always be critical to fostering a relationship with your candidates. But in my own experience, I should say, is that we've realized that things on mobile devices really grown exponentially. Really, your phones are becoming the primary vehicle for how you engage with the world and also with your recruiting agency. From onboarding to the resumes you submit to how you communicate with your recruiter. So I feel the texting, the chatbot that you mentioned, and being able to input that was a major accomplishment. And I agree. I do think that emails will always be there as well, but I think texting, we have our phone at our hand whenever necessary. So I do think texting is becoming much more important. Having a bona fide texting process is critical.
Yes,
having that tie right into your ATS. Sorry to interrupt, Christina. It eliminates the guesswork. Nothing's being missed, and it's just that's nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Just again with the texting, there really is nothing that beats picking up the phone. But I do think that when you're able to personalize text messaging, and this, not all chatbots are created equal, and I think that that's so important to be able to have it personalized, and also the timing is what matters so much too. So I think that's great.
Yeah. All right, this is the question I had for both of you, Christina and Steve. I do work with data visualization analytics, and I know Sense has a very robust analytical tool available as part of their suite of products. Now, Steve, I don't know if you're using analytics per se, but if you are, or Christina, obviously analytics are key to how you evaluate your various journeys and your processes. Steve, have you used analytics in any way? And Christina, can you talk about maybe how analytics can improve that process of customizing journeys, customizing your engagement approach?
Yeah, so we're very early on in our journey for analytics. We have a handful of journeys that have already been deployed, so we're starting to see some numbers come in. The big thing that we've been really using for analytics is for messaging, managing our opt-outs, and seeing if there are different ways that our recruiters can tailor their message to decrease opt-out rates. So that's one way that we've been managing it. We also have a reoccurring summary that comes out every week to show us how many messages were sent out by recruiter and what their average response rate was. So it really allows us to kind of pinpoint the success stories and kind of see a template of what the message consisted of that yielded that success. So that's something that we can utilize as a training opportunity to help ramp up and bring others up to that success as well. So that's really what we've been seeing from an analytical perspective. And Christine, I'm sure there's a lot more that you can add from that front.
Sure. So, to be honest with you, when we talk about, I'm sorry, could you repeat that last part? Oh
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm like, you passing it to me, so forgive me, everyone.
Yeah, of course, Christina. So we were discussing the analytical product that Sense has, and I was asking Steve how analytics can help redefine their approach and how they utilize the platform. And I was curious, about your thoughts on analytics, how you can use those more efficiently, how they can become more impactful and how you utilize Sense.
That's a well, from what I see from a marketing perspective, we always want to tout how great and how clean the data is that you are able to derive from your ROI and from and all the analytics that you get. I would defer to our dev guys to find out just like from a little bit more of a technological perspective. But I do know that our customers are always saying how clean the data is and how important that is when you're able to make decisions. And then it also helps you decide what's going to be next on your journey, maybe where you want to focus on in one direction as opposed to another. I think that the better your analytics that you're able to derive, the better you're able to tailor your business and you do get the most out of the tool. And I know that for a fact, that's one thing that we hear so much positive feedback about.
Terrific. And we did get one more question. This is harking back to the scheduling component of Sense that Steve, you alluded to earlier. Would you mind maybe elaborating on that product and what you've seen with it?
Yeah, so the calendar functionality provided through Sense is a great way for your sales or recruiting team to share their availability with candidates in real time. So what we have done is include the Meet With Me link, essentially is what it is, that lives within our employees' email signatures, and it launches out. So in real time, so if I book something right now on your schedule, Jonathan, for 4 o'clock Eastern time, it's going to show that I'm on it. And then we can create several different types of meeting templates that kind of go around our availability, what are our booking rules, call flow. We can also gather screening questions on the front end. So if there are specific pieces of information that you'd like to have answered about your candidates prior to you getting on the phone with them, you can be armed with all that information, which is a really, really neat tool. That's our biggest thing. We've seen a lot of adoption. We've seen a lot of success from that as well. And it's something that can also be shared onto other profiles as well. So if you are leveraging outside resources, job boards, anything like that, you can share your meeting schedule there as well to increase that outreach even more.
Perfect. All right, and then just one last question for you, Steve. As during our poll that Christina conducted earlier, we talked about efficiency, right? And how efficiency is becoming ever more vital. Right, we're looking to improve that at every turn. Steve, is there any one example that you've seen at the moment and how your efficiency has really improved with Sense? Is there one sort of business practice, one sort of routine task that's improved via Sense as part of that efficiency?
Yeah, covering jobs. We have a lot of candidates in our database. Being able to properly identify a candidate search through AltaStaff on candidates that meet the requirement of the job is half the battle. How do we market the job to those candidates is another. And that's something that the automation journeys through Sense have allowed us to do that. Additionally, sending out mass text messages is another way that we can canvas our database about a specific job, refine our search selection so that we're marketing this to the right candidates. So again, sound like a broken record, but the partnership between ABD and Sense really allows us to capture what's most important in our database and jump to it as quickly as possible. That's been the biggest driver organization process-wise that's increased efficiency.
Perfect. Well, so I don't see any questions coming through at the moment.
Actually, I have a question, and I'm interested in. I want to talk about IMN's use of Sense Meeting and the scheduler. I know that we touched upon it, but Steve, when it comes to the use of that, I mean, that was what you guys had before. How have you seen the value already? Because I know that was important to IMN, and I find that it might be like one of those lesser known things that people didn't realize just how valuable it was until as soon as they implemented it.
Yeah, it really is, because you're finding that there's a lot of back and forth. Hey, what's your availability? What's my availability? Let's get some time to meet. It's right there. So it takes the guesswork out. And it's something that we didn't previously have as a capability that was available for us. So being able to have that, we have it again embedded right within our email signatures is really, really important for us. And again, another way that we're increasing efficiency on our end as well.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Well, if we don't have any more